Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to take a look at two new premiums that are totally out of this world. But before we start, I think that you noticed something about the audio that should be a little bit better. To be honest with you, since my latest video that I took a look at after uploading it, it was totally a nightmare to listen, and I truly understand why people were pissed. So I took my night in order for me to understand what was wrong, what was right, and I think that right now I got some settings rightly, so hopefully it's the case. If it's the case, tell me in the comments, and if it's not, also tell me. I will just remove this video and upload another one with hopefully a better sound. So what are we going to talk about today? Not the high score, I'll do a video on it, but this is not it. We are going to go directly into the tech tree and select the British, because from there you're going to see that Wargaming implemented two new really interesting premiums that are either in test or that were already tested and not out yet, called the Caliban plus the GSOR 1008, which I'm going to call GSOR because it's easier for me. And I'm telling you that those are interesting because the gameplay they have is totally different from, first, what you see in the British tech tree, and second, from what you see in World of Tanks Blitz in general, because both of those are equipped with auto-loading mechanisms that are working a little bit originally. But first of all, before even talking about the statistics of those tanks, just take a look at how strange they are looking, and specifically the GSOR 1008. It just looks like something out of the Clone Wars from Star Wars, or at least something that is truly developed. And at first I was kind of afraid when I saw it in World of Tanks PC, because that thing is from World of Tanks PC, because I was thinking, okay, if Wargaming is releasing such weird design, maybe that it means that those tanks are quite modern and they are totally gonna outpass all the other tanks that are available in the game, such as, for example, a Tiger II. But after leaving this tank for months in PC, it seems like it's not the case, and I'm glad they are coming into World of Tanks Blitz. And in terms of design, it seems like the Caliban and the GSOR are nearly using the exact same hull and the exact same turret. The only thing changing is the power and the outburst of their clip. But regardless, they are looking kind of original, and I love everything that is original, so I love them. But to be honest with you, I'm not here to talk about the design, but rather the abilities of this tank. When I first told you that it was two auto-loadings, I was wrong, because the GSOR is actually an auto-loading mechanism, no problem, as you can see with the icon here. But when you take a look at the Caliban, it seems like Wargaming decided that it would be too powerful to give it a whole big gun with auto-loading mechanism, like it's the case in World of Tanks Blitz PC. So it seems like they decided to just go for a one-shot gun, but one-shot gun with 21 seconds of reload. Is it really gonna work? I don't think so. But let's put that aside and first talk about the GSOR. What is interesting about this tank is its DPM, because to be honest, having nearly 2.4k DPM, because that's what you're gonna get if you use the right provision with the right equipment, etc, 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 well, you can climb up to 2.4k. 2.4k for a tier 8 is already impressive, but for an auto-loading tier 8, it's even more impressive. Of course, Wargaming decided to counterbalance that with terrible accuracy, which means that with the two shells in your magazine, there is one chance out of two that one of your shells will not go where you are aiming. But to be fair with you, if you are playing close range, even if I don't think that this is what the GSOR is supposed to do, you will not suffer too much. On top of that, as it's a tank destroyer, with your armor-piercing shell you have 248, but, and this is what is really interesting with this tank, it's equipped with HESH shells. For those of you that don't know what HESH shells are, I'm gonna take a look at my mighty AV4202 to demonstrate. Basically, for the people owning the AV4202, you already know that, but the HESH shell is literally an HE shell, so something that will do more damage for as a counterbalance, less penetration. But here it's not necessarily a problem, because those still have a nice range of penetration between 200 and 220 millimeters, which means that your HEs with the AV4202 are going to penetrate every time someone has between 200 and 220 millimeters of armor, or at least the vast majority of your shells, because there is still the angling, etc, etc, that can be counted. But We have the same thing on the GSOR with 170 millimeters of penetration, which means that most tier 7, all tier 6, and a lot of tier 8 are going to be penetrated with those. So instead of having 350 alpha damage per shot, you are going to get 440, which means that when we take a look at it, your DPM will be increased. Why? Because the DPM counted here is the DPM with the 350 average damage per shot, not the 440. Because when we take a look at some math, you're going to see that, well, you can climb up to nearly 3k. Because this is the DPM you're going to get if you penetrate every single one of your shells with this tank using hash. And to be honest, 3k at tier 8, we are starting to talk about something crazy. So I'm expecting the GSOR not necessarily to be the most broken tank ever, because with the armor it has, it's quite easy to penetrate it even with HE. But once placed in the right hand from someone that knows how to play, knows how to relocate, knows when to shoot, knows how to fight, this thing is truly going to be one of the deadliest tank destroyers at tier 8. Now for the rest, I'm not going to bother necessarily. You have an incredible mobility which allows you to relocate, so in definitive it's kind of a Scorpion G with an auto-reloading mechanism, let's say like that, 2.5 seconds of reload between shells, so only 2.5 seconds of reload actually, because when you reload your full magazine, the first shell is already reloaded for you. So in definitive, if you combine that with 8 degrees of gun depression, we are seeing something that is probably going to be a nightmare for most players. Now let's talk about something interesting, original, but still disappointing, aka the Caliban. For those of you that are knowing about the Caliban, I was quite hyped first when Wargaming announced it, when we didn't have the statistics, simply because this thing in World of Tanks PC is literally a KV2 with an auto-loading mechanism, because if I'm not mistaken, it has like 900 alpha damage plus an auto-loading mechanism, 2 shells, so 2 times 900 for a total of 1.8k. So one clip is equal to destroying pretty much everything you see. So yeah, definitely when we tell you that a smasher with an auto-loading mechanism is coming into the game, you are hyped, and you're also a little bit afraid for the others, but you are hyped. And well, it seems like Wargaming decided to change it, because this 150mm gun not only is getting severely nerfed, because when you take a look at the gun dispersion, it's terrible, 0.50. It's even worse. No, it's not worse than the KV2, but it's close to, because the KV2 has 0.52. And the aim time, boys, 7.2 seconds. This thing, if you are not like at 20 meters max from your target, let's just throw away the whole tank and do not try to fight. Literally impossible. But there is a good news, 170 millimeters of penetration using your high explosive, which are hash shells. Here, if you manage to penetrate with that, 860 damage per shot. This tank, the Caliban, and I think this is what Wargaming has in mind, is not meant to be effective, only to be fun. And if it's the case, it's probably going to be hilarious, because when you take a look at what happens with the KV2s, you see a lot of people telling you that the tank is not necessarily a good one, but the satisfaction you get when you one-shot someone, or when you put at least 1000 damage on it, it's just incredible. And it's probably going to be the case with the Caliban as well, because, well, I mean, 8 degrees of gun depression, 860 alpha damage per shot with the hash shell sitting at 170 millimeters of penetration. Combined with bad speed, unfortunately, we don't have the same luck as the GSOR, but still, it's going to be really fun, and I'm expecting a lot of troll compilations on YouTube, or whatever those are called, meme compilations about World of Tanks Blitz using this tank. So in definitive, I don't know when those tanks are going to be out, but I can already tell you that if your goal is to have fun, you need to buy the Caliban, and if your goal is to be effective, you need to buy the GSOR 1008. But yeah, I'm gonna buy both of them. I'm gonna review both of them as always, and hopefully I'm gonna love both of them. That's it for today, guys. I just wanted to talk a little bit about those tanks since right now we have the statistics. Hopefully you enjoyed, and tell me also in the comments what you think about those tanks. Do you think that they're going to be impressive? Do you think that those are going to be good tanks or not? All I can tell you right now is that they are probably planned for the 9.2, 9.3 update, because as this update is focusing in majority on the Japanese tanks, we are not going to see British ones. And on top of that, it seems like Wargaming announced the Centurion Action 10, which is the replacement for the Heavy 4202 located right there in the tech tree. Like, you have the Heavy here, you're probably going to get the Centurion right there. And if it's the case, I'm expecting all those British tanks to come out at the same time at the release of the Centurion version or Action 10. So yeah, we are probably going to have to wait for this, and hopefully you are as hyped as I am, because right now it feels like Wargaming is truly making some efforts to change the regular playstyle, and I'm quite happy about it. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. If that's the case, you know what to do, and I'm going to see you soon for a new video. Bye.